wind energy in Poland, and almost 4 gigawatts under construction due to the auction that took place in previous years. We are still waiting for results of the auctions that took place at the beginning of June this year. So after that, there will be even more projects under construction. What's more, we are starting developing offshore wind projects. As far as you probably know, new legislation was put in place, and there is a very good perspective for offshore wind. I will tell you later on about it. Yes, let's say that surroundings is better and better, and we hope that onshore and offshore wind energy in Poland has a bright future in the next decades. But first of all, let's see how it looks as it goes from the government point of view and the Polish policy. So we have several documents that are very important from the point of view of our market. First of all, the strategy, Polish Energy Policy till 2040, which was adopted by the Council of Ministers quite earlier this year in February, after many years of work. It's not perfect. We have many doubts about this policy, especially if we look at the onshore wind energy, but which we hope that in the next year that policy could be changed and will be better for onshore wind. As I mentioned before, the Offshore Wind Act was adopted this year. This is a very important document from the point of view of offshore wind energy. I will elaborate more on that on the next slide. We are working also on the Polish offshore sector deal, and it's expected. I wrote here in the middle of 2021, but the latest news from the Ministry of Climate says that it will be signed probably in August or maybe in September this year. But we hope that this will be a very important document, which shows that we can develop offshore wind sector not only from the point of view of energy sector, but also from the point of view of industry, Polish industry. So this is quite important. What's more, later in May, the 22nd of May, it's adopted a special development plan for Baltic Sea. This is a very important document, which gives new possibilities for newcomers, for new entries in the offshore wind sector. We hope that that document will allow to create more possibilities, more areas, will create more areas for offshore wind energy in Poland. So if we look at the Polish energy policy, why I said that it's not perfect from the point of view of wind energy, onshore wind energy. So document sets some targets, which is 23% renewables for 2030. In electricity sector, it's 32%. And if we look at that document from the offshore point of view, and if we look till 2030, we say it's okay. It's quite ambitious, because it states that by 2030 there will be approximately 6 gigawatts of offshore wind energy, and we believe that this is really well designed and well set goal. But in terms of onshore wind energy, the document states that by 2040 there will be around 10 gigawatts. But we say that 10 gigawatts we'll have in probably next 2 years, due to the fact that we already have 6.5 gigawatt, and what I was said before, like almost 4 gigawatt is currently under construction. So this is more than 10 gigawatt. And that's why we believe that the document should be changed in this respect, and to show that that more energy, onshore wind energy, is possible. From our perspective, from our analysis, We believe that till 2040, to 2030, it could be even around 20 gigawatts. So this is, we have huge potential for doing so. And we see that some ministries, some part of government see that there is that kind of potential. We hope that it will be changed. Another important document, like I mentioned before, is Offshore Wind Act, which is, well, key element which establish the offshore wind market in Poland. The main area which is in the act is support scheme for offshore wind. This is the most important issue and most important element in the document. There are two phases of support. A first phase, which is dedicated for the most advanced project, is a support which is granted in the administrative procedure. Probably you know that currently that projects, some of the projects received, most of the projects which were able to enter into first phase already received support. We are still waiting for two projects to be granted support, and that will happen probably by the well, it should be happen by the end of June. And the second phase of the support scheme is a tendering system, which is quite similar to what we have in onshore wind energy and in other renewable energy technologies. So it's well known all across Europe. Is quite similar support scheme. What's important in terms of offshore and what's the difference between onshore and offshore support scheme is that in offshore wind we have a 25-year period of support scheme or 100,000 full load hours. So that's different. Additional difference, but not as important as that. The Offshore Wind Act also defines some issues regarding the grid connection, supply chain, some administrative burdens, and many other issues. Generally speaking, the act is quite well prepared and quite comprehensive. So we are happy to have that kind of document, although we identified some small issues that could be changed to have a better act. Nevertheless, what we have is a very good document. Okay, I mentioned about the support scheme. One additional information is that in the first phase of the support scheme, there will be projects approximately 6 gigawatt. And in phase 2, tendering system, we have 2 tenders already foreseen in 2025 and 2027, both for 2.5 gigawatt of capacity. Here you can see the map with offshore wind projects. You see a part of Poland, part of Polish shore, and the project name of the project and numbers, and the information that EURO, which is a Polish regulator, already granted support for 6 projects in phase 1. Like I said, we are waiting for 2 other projects to be granted support, and that should happen till the end of June. What I mentioned already briefly is that in May, Polish Maritime Special Plan for Baltic Sea entered into force, and this is a very important document that shows places where offshore wind, other projects, additional projects, can be placed, and the permitting for those places will be started quite soon. We hope so, just to have a new project in pipeline. Like I mentioned before, by 2025, new projects should be ready to take part in auctions, and in 2027. So we hope that granting the permission for offshore will be granting quite soon, and that the new project will be able to participate in the tenders in 2025 and later on. So these are new possibilities to start to be a part of the race, let's say, for the new permissions. And now a few words about the offshore wind and the possibilities. What will bring offshore wind projects for the economy? Well, PVA, together with other association which works in the offshore wind, prepare analysis, maybe not we directly, but Bain & Company, which is well-known company, well-known enterprise, prepare for us a document analysis. What will be the benefits from the offshore wind in Poland? There are 3 scenarios, base, optimistic, and pessimistic. And the base scenario is quite similar of that what it is in Polish energy policy till 2040. So 5 gigawatts till 2030 and 12 gigawatts in 2040. And if we look at that and if we realize that those base scenario till 2030 means 76 almost billion zloty of investment, we see that there is quite a lot room for investment, for making a business. You can see on the slide here in which elements will cost the numbers that how many billions of zlotys will cost turbines, foundations, but also key materials like steel, copper, lead, and so on. So this is a quite huge investment. We define the whole project of offshore wind farms till 2040, like it is stated in Polish wind energy policy, for 130 billion zlotys, so quite a lot. We hope that much of it will stay in Poland, in Polish companies, but as we know, this is a global market, so there is, like I said, a lot of play, a lot of room for others to take part in that business. Bain & Company defines that for the first project, it is possible to have 20-25% of so-called local content, which is mostly speaking Polish companies, some companies placed in Poland, and in the phase 2, we can reach 45-50% share of local content. We are mainly basing this on the British experiences with their local content, with their sector deals. So we are trying to reach as much as possible of local content. But like I said, this is a global business, so it won't be possible to reach 100%. So there is a place for others. And if we now switch to onshore wind, because as you probably know, the onshore wind energy in Poland couldn't develop as it could due to legislative burdens and so-called 10H rule. But we see a positive sign of change, and lately, Ministry of Development starts its consultation on the legislation that will change the 10H rule in favor of wind energy industry, and we are after the consultation phase. We are waiting for additional works at the government level and then parliamentary level. We hope that by the end of this year, the law will be enforced, which means that the new project will be able to go further. And what's changing? To change in the proposal of the ministry is that the minimum distance will be 500. Maybe not. 10H rule will remain. Nevertheless, the local governments will be able to to set a different value for the distance from the wind turbines, but no less than 500 meters. We believe that it's quite okay from our side, and it will bring additional opportunities for our business. As the ministry defined by the change of that regulation, it will be possible to build in the next 10 years in Poland from 6 up to 10 gigawatts of additional onshore wind energy power. So this is quite similar what I mentioned before, that we see the potential in Poland till 2030 at the level of 20 gigawatts in onshore wind. So we are happy and we are waiting, we are cheering, and have our fingers crossed to have that law enforced by the end of this year. Here are some data regarding the potential of wind energy in Poland. As you see, there are two information, what it is in the Polish energy policy till 2040. In onshore, we have 10 gigawatts, and in offshore, 11 by the 2040. But in the last few months, there was several analyses made by think tanks and other companies that show that the potential is much higher. Even 22, 24 gigawatts by 2040 in onshore, and in offshore 28 up to 35 gigawatts in 2050. So we believe that that potential could be used, and in the next decades there will be a huge investment in wind energy, both onshore and offshore, and that's quite good opportunity for us. If you need more information, like I mentioned at the beginning, you can contact me whenever you like, or my colleagues from PVA, but you can also find additional information on our website. Also in English, so there are two documents that was two analysis documents, reports that was published this year. So quick guide to 2021 Polish auction system for renewables. Although auction already took place, nevertheless, in the end of this year there might be additional auctions, but you can find information about the Polish support scheme in that document. And the onshore wind energy in Poland is a comprehensive report prepared together with TPA Howard, in which you can find also quite good information about the market perspective and auctions that already took place. So feel free to download from our website. One more thing, some kind of advertisement. PVI is organizing every year the biggest wind energy conference in this part of Europe, in the Central and Eastern Europe. The conference will take place in Sarosk at the end of August and the first day of September. Here you can see the contact to my colleagues which are responsible for that event. If you would like to join us, please contact them. Like I said, this is the biggest conference that type in this part of Europe. We'll have probably more than 100 participants, so this is a very good opportunity to make a business. So feel free to contact my colleagues, and please be invited. That's all from my side. Like I said, if you have any other questions, comments, you can ask now if it's room for that. If not, please contact me. My number is on our website, my email as well, so please. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot again, Piotr, for this overview of the state of the Polish wind sector, which I think was quite complete, quite to the point. I don't see any questions, but I have one for you. How are you seeing in terms of collaborating with companies from other countries. Because you mentioned in your presentation that you wanted to increase the percentage of local content, of course, of the employment, of the value that stays in Poland. How have you identified, or do you have in mind in which areas of the value chain you would be more interested in establishing contacts, and what would be a way to get in contact with Polish companies?
Well, yes. So first of all, Poland has already, let's say, local content regarding the offshore wind sector, because Polish companies are present in other projects around Europe and around the globe. So we have basic starting point quite well. Nevertheless, like I said, the government also aims to increase that share, and hopes that quite big part of money will stay in Poland. We are looking at the whole value chain, and that's the most important information. Like I said, the local content is not only Polish companies, but also the companies that are placed and have facilities in Poland. So this is also quite important. But there is a need for JVs and other possibilities. So I think that Polish companies are open for cooperation. We have in our association companies that also are part of that local content. So you can contact some of our colleagues from our association, but there is also an additional association regarding working in the fields of offshore wind, mainly from the industry point of view. So you can contact also them to communicate and find out where you can make a business, where is the business opportunities in collaborating with those companies.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot again. And well, at this point, we will move to the, thanks, Piotr. We will move to the next presentation. Thank you. And the next presentation will be done by Bartłomiej Latoszek, who is the offshore country manager of Iberdrola Renovables in Poland. Thanks a lot for being with us today, Bartłomiej, and the screen is yours again.
Okay, thank you, Marcos. Good day to everybody. Let me share the screen, and maybe at the beginning I will say in the meantime a couple of words about myself. So my name is Bartek Latoszek. I spent at Iberdrola 10 years so far, so quite long. Most of that time I was working in the onshore business, but then in 2017 we started to investigate the offshore business quite hardly in Poland, and as a result of that activity we established our presence. Please only confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, we've been investigating the Polish market as Iberdrola Group since 2017, and we are now aiming to secure our position here on the Polish market. But I will elaborate about that a little bit later. So I would like to guide you through the presentation about Polish offshore, but also I would like to say a couple of words about Iberdrola Group, who we are in general, what we are doing globally, what we are planning to do in Poland, and I will also show you what is our strategy in terms of the offshore business. So Iberdrola is one of the biggest renewable energy company across the world. We are also #1 in the wind energy production. Currently, we own assets worth more than 120 billion euros. We are present across all the globe, in fact, because recently, this is not shown, reflected on the map here, but recently we We also entered into the market of Asia to Japan and South Korea. So of course, our main business for many years was the Europe. We were present. We are from Spain, but we are also present in UK and other countries across the Europe. We also are present in US, Mexico, and Brazil. So to show you a little bit some figures and maybe our business lines. So we have 3 business lines at Iberdrola, which are renewables, networks, and wholesale and retail. The biggest is networks, but the share of renewables is significantly growing because around 20 years ago, our board or our CEO made a decision that Iberdrola will enter into a green transition. It will resign, the group will resign from all the black assets, and we are very much involved in creating renewables sources and assets across the world. So here you can find some data. What is very interesting from your point of view is the fact that Iberdrola has recently announced the 75 billion plan until 2025, and more than half of it will be dedicated to the renewable sources. But as I can imagine from our perspective, from your perspective, the most important here is the offshore wind. So I would like to present you who we are in offshore, what we are doing, and where we are present. So currently, Iberdrola has under operation 3 projects. The first one was west of Duddon Sands, which is located in the Irish Sea. It was executed together with the partnership with Ørsted. The second project, which was totally owned and totally executed on our own, was the East Anglia ONE project with the capacity of more than 700 megawatts. It was commissioned in 2020, so even due to pandemic, we were able to deliver the project on time. Second project is Vikinger. In fact, it was our first project fully developed and fully constructed by Iberdrola. This is Vikinger, located on the Baltic Sea on the German waters with the capacity of 350 megawatts. Apart from that, currently we are entering into execution of 2 offshore wind farm projects. The first one is located in France, the project called Saint-Brieuc. The history of that project is quite long. We can even say that France is developing the offshore business in a quite similar way as Polish government, because we started at the beginning of, I think it was 2010 or 2011 in France, but we were successful in 2017. So now we are entering the execution phase. And we expect to have this project put into operation in 2023. Another project that we are entering into execution phase at the moment is the Baltic Eagle project. This is a project located again in Germany and on the Baltic Sea, very close to the Vikinger project. With the consenting is planned for this year, and the commissioning is planned for the 2024. The capacity is almost 500 megawatts. Apart from that, we are developing number of projects in different areas. We are developing projects in US, we are developing projects in other parts of Europe. We recently entered in Japan, and also a few days ago it was announced that Iberdrola is in the partnership in South Korea with one of the companies there, aiming to offshore and onshore. So in terms of Baltic Sea, because Baltic Sea for Iberdrola seems to be a natural natural place of future investments, we would like to create here a Baltic cluster. where apart from the German projects that we already own and that we are already operating and developing, we are also very focused on the Swedish market when we have a partnership with the potential even up to 9 gigawatts in projects. And also we are aiming Poland, where we expect to be present in the next round for the new licenses. Our appetite in Poland in the next phase of the project is to have approximately 2.5 gigawatts. So we can say, I can tell you that Iberdrola is well positioned and well qualified in the wind sector, because we've been developing the wind sectors for many, many years. So we were able to collect our experience in all areas, covering all lifetime of the projects. We executed more than 10,000 wind turbines. We are specialized in the foundations because we have our in-house experience there. We are always very focused on the site characteristic at the bottom C, which is very important for the offshore business. We are also specialized in the transmission assets. Even in the UK, we were executing the high voltage line when the cable was laid down on the bottom of the sea. We are always trying, and this is also our main goal, is that when we are entering into the new country and where we are doing our business, we are always involved local people, local companies, local supply chains. We are investing in ports whenever it is needed. So, but also we are using experience of the global companies that we are cooperating with. So, but nevertheless, also apart from all the issues related with lifetime of the project, we are very focused on people, because we are always trying to have and to create a experienced personnel with the long-term perspective, but also as one of the biggest company worldwide, we are very focused on innovations and future technologies. We are now involved in the floating wind. Probably you heard also that we are involved in the green hydro and some other areas of businesses. Here a little bit of background. Maybe this will be something that, of course, Piotr has covered all of that, but maybe I will tell you why we are interested in Poland. Poland is quite a specific country because most of the energy system based on coal. The generation based on that fuel is around 70 up to 80%. Of course, it depends on the use of the energy, but the plans of Polish government are quite well positioned, let's say like that. And it has changed within last couple of years. The new documents were released. One of them is Polish energy policy until 2040, where we have goals set for the next 2 decades, showing that the offshore wind will cover around 5.9 gigawatts. And in 2040, the expectation is to have up to 11 gigawatts in offshore wind. Of course, maybe the plans could be much more ambitious, because the potential of the Baltic Sea for the offshore wind is even higher. It was estimated to be around 28 giga, but considering that our energy mix is quite tough and our historical heritage, unfortunately, is from coal, we do need a little bit more time than other countries across the Europe to change our energy mix. But nevertheless, this is true, and this is a fact that Poland is now entering into a huge transition period when there will be a switch from the black assets to the new renewables installations, and Iberdrola is planning to be a part of it. So what are our plans in Poland? As you may probably know, we were present in Poland for a couple of years in the past. We were focused on the onshore business. In fact, we shut down our last office in the end of 2019. But nevertheless, as I mentioned you at the beginning, we were very deeply investigating the offshore business at that point of time. And we always seen Poland as a market with huge potential in renewable sector. Hopefully, within last couple of years, also the Polish government saw that there is no other option like to make this transition and to enter to the renewable sector. So it was quite easier for us to come back to the Polish market, and we in the end of 2020, in December, we signed partnership with the local developer called Seawind. We will be developing together the offshore wind projects. Also at the beginning of 2021, to highlight our strong interest in this country, we acquired 3 onshore projects in Poland. 2 of them are under operation and 1 is under development and was and took part in the recent onshore auction. Our plans for onshore in Poland for this year and for the close future is to focus on the new sites that will be available, we hope, within this year. There will be new 11 sites that anyone can bid for, and Iberdrola together with Seawind is planning to apply for those areas. Later on, if the first milestone will be achieved, and the first milestone is to get the exclusivity for that for any of the sites, we will start the real development of the projects. We will have to meet a couple of conditions to participate in the auctions in 2025 or in 2027. So after we will be successful with the location license that we hope will happen in the first half of 2022, we will start the environmental impact assessment and all the studies related with the investigation of the sea bottom, etc., because we will need to reach a proper consenting level to participate in the auction in 2025 or in 2027. Nevertheless, these projects that we are talking here about is a long-time perspective, because those projects will enter into operation after 2030. Okay, so here maybe a little bit of a piece of information how we are approaching our contracting strategy for the offshore wind farm. So we are quite ambitious because we are following the multi-contracting strategy, which is not easy in the coordination. Here you can see a couple of companies that we are cooperating with. So for example, we are cooperating with Navantia, we are cooperating with JDR cables. So as you can see, we are not focused only on one region. Even if the project is executed in UK, we are using competences of the companies from different parts of Europe. Here you have a project of, you can see project of East Anglia 1. This is our biggest project with the capacity of 714 megawatts. As you can see, the wind turbines came from Siemens Gamesa. They were responsible for the supply, installation, and O&M. The foundations, for example, the engineering was made by Ramboll. Cables came from JDR. So here is also a Polish accent because recently Telefonica acquired the factory of JDR in UK. So we are not focused only on one supplier. We are trying always to spread our portfolio to different companies. Of course, the economics are very important, and this is the key driver for us and for our purchase department when we are throwing our tenders for different scopes. What is also quite important, and probably it will happen within next few years or during next few projects, that Probably it depends, of course, on the projects of its size, but on one project we will be using the multi-contracting strategy. In the other projects we will be shifting to the EPC contracts as much as possible. And here to highlight once again that Iberdrola is very reliable partner. We are focused on the green transition. We are supporting development of the renewable sources. We are always collaborating with the local communities, with the local partners in the countries where we are executing the projects. We are always following the regulations coming from different acts, different requirements from different authorities. When needed, we are investing in the port infrastructure, which is in Poland, I think would be one of the most important issues. We do really care about local content and the supply chain. Of course, apart from that, we are using, as I presented on the previous slides, we are using companies also from different countries, experienced companies, because we always need to take care about the quality of our project. We are also involved in education of the future generations for the offshore business. We are supporting different scholarships, universities. We are taking part very actively in creation of the new experience personnel. We are always matching with the health and safety rules to keep our projects on a very high quality. And I think from my side that would be all. So in case you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Bartłomiej. I also have one question for you. If you've explained the process of how the offshore wind is going to develop by Iberdrola in Poland, how in this timing, which takes many years, in terms of, again, we have bus companies attending this webinar. Could you mention a bit what type of suppliers or partners would you be expecting for which years? Like a quick overview. I know it's a difficult question, but
of course, we still don't know what will be the starting point and the date that we will be able to start our real development of the project. But when we will meet the first milestone, which is to receive the location permit, so we will have the exclusivity for the site, then we will start the development process. So we will have to start all the analysis related with the sea bottom, related with wind measurements, related with environmental impact assessment. In the meantime, we will have to take care about the grid connection. So the first phase, Marcos, is rather the phase related with planning, where there is a lot of assessments that has to be done across the sea, but also the land part. Then when we will be doing the engineering somewhere in parallel, and when we will be successful in the auction, it will be a main point for us to start to contract all the companies that will allow us to execute the project. So the foundations, cables, wind turbines, etc. So unfortunately, Iberdrola is not in the first phase of the projects, because there are some projects in Poland under development already. But our plans are long-term, and of course we see always space for the experienced contractors that will bring us an added value to our projects, and also the bus companies, the place will be there.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for your answer. Thanks for your presentation. And
thank you very much.
I guess we will be moving now to the part of the presentations about the Pomerania region. And first we will start with Karolina Lipinska, who is Deputy Director for Development and Innovation in the Marshal's Office of the Pomorskie Voivodeship Economic Development. I think I did that well. Caroline, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
I see your presentation already. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. And I'm today with my friend, with Mikołaj Trunim from our regional agency, and with Ola from Port of Gdynia. So we together will try to briefly inform you. I will just put my clock for 10 minutes because I don't want to speak too much, and give also the floor, the screen, as you said, to the others. Yes, just a short information at the beginning. As you already mentioned, I represent self-government, Office of the Marshal of the Pomorskie Voivodeship, Department of Economic Development. So we are responsible, generally speaking, for regional innovation strategy, cooperating with our companies and universities due to preparation of R&D projects. So we are very keen on innovation in our region. And we are also coordinating the in smart specializations. We have 4 smart specializations in Pomorskie. 3 of them are connected with offshore. So it's as you see, it's our top of priority to develop the offshore offshore partnerships and projects, and we are eager also to have an effect in our local content. And first of all, I would like to say a few words about our offshore platform that we had signed last year. It's not maybe long time, because it's almost a year that even not a year that we are coordinating this platform, but many things happened. It's really like a pendolino in Poland. It's with a high speed. We are trying to do our best to, from the regional, local level, to help our ministry, our central government to raise our strong voice in offshore. So we have lots of members also. Generally speaking, they are connected with our regional local development, but not only. We also are cooperating with investors, also with institutions on the national level. And our platform, offshore platform, has a lot of scope of cooperation. I think Mr. Czopek, who presented also his presentation, mentioned many of them. But I would like to say that we are working together. I mean, we are supporting the Pomeranian entrepreneurship. We are trying to, as I mentioned, to raise the local content and to raise the potential of our companies, as well as to give the developing contacts. We are doing, I think, a great job for networking and animating our partnerships and our groups connected with offshore and also hydrogen, because we are there together for us. I mean, the hydrogen is also one of our priority, and we are strongly working for preparation of staff, because it's quite new. We are cooperating with our middle level schools and universities, also to connect their potential, because we know that if we work together, we will be really the best. And also, as I mentioned, the innovation is what struggles me actually most. So we are looking for regional research and development partners for projects, and we are now under preparation of our innovation R&D agenda that will be soon also negotiated with our investors, and at least we are also going to prepare, I think it will be after holidays or maybe in September at the beginning, that we are going to prepare the number of short and long list of our offshore R&D projects. We are also discussing with the national body about the financing, and of course at the end, but also as very important, especially in Poland, and where this innovation is really growing fast, is a good communication, good information, and promotion of offshore. So it is also one of our scope for cooperation. We have till now 2 working groups, and the first one is the working group competences. As I mentioned, we are looking for competences for good education, for preparation of workers to this offshore investment. And in this group, we are, for example, preparing a quite interesting project, and it's a competence center that it will be raised probably in Rumia. It's also very close to Gdynia installation port. This, I think, this advantage is the most advantage of this localization. We are also mapping in terms of needs of our labor market. So we are working a lot with this education system, formal and informal. We also try to identify barriers on the labor market, and we are also in close cooperation with those groups raised by Minister Zyska on the central level, trying to work together, because education is the central matter. And the second working group is a group industry, and we are also made self-mapping of the condition and potential of local supply chain. We are also trying to, as I mentioned, this communication is very important between companies, because sometimes they know, but directly they don't know where to search for this information. So the communication, but also review of technologies and technical innovations, identification. We are also trying to identify opportunities for initiating joint partners. And I think the most important thing we are also, what is actually this webinar, this seminar with, is we are looking for good practices internationally, so to have smart and quick decisions according to our offshore investment. And yeah, working together, I think it's our idea, and that's why I mentioned that we are this our work, our regional local work, is a kind of contribution to sector deal that was mentioned many times during this webinar, and it is according to competences, meaning using the capabilities of integrated qualifications register. It means also gaps in earnings opportunities. It means also opportunities, generally speaking, for a labor market, and also in economy aspect, industrial certification, excellence productions, processes, many things that are really struggle and are on the fundament of our legislation also. So it is what we are trying to do. And of course, I think it's one of my last slides, and we are having many advantages, but of course we are also aware of our development needs. And advantages is for sure well-developed shipping and cooperation sector, extensive experience in deliveries to the offshore and maritime sector, world-class design offices, really perfect, and the level is very, very high. Great development potential of seaports, and strong academic center here in Pomorskie. secondary vocational education with a maritime profile. So it is really our strong points. However, we still need to intensify our technical dialogue with investors and suppliers and cooperate with above mentioned entities in the construction of a well-profiled education, because it's always it also needs to be a cooperation. We are not going to do this. It will not be a success without this cooperation of investors and big companies that are in the offshore industry. So yeah, I also put it here, the courage and quick decision according to our servicing and installation part, because still we are working with this. Okay, and so my time, yeah, I'm perfect today with time. So I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to organize together with you this webinar, and I think we have to intensify our contacts with Basque partners. I'm looking forward to it because I used to learn Spanish during my studies, and I must admit that it's still need to refresh. So thank you very much, and I'm looking for questions from your side. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Carolina. Again, we hope to give you the chance to improve your Spanish. One quick question. Could you please, yeah, as of now, I guess we are all improving our English. Could you please give a quick overview of the port situation in the region? Because you mentioned some of them. But...
There will be a presentation of Aleksandra Godecka, who is together with us and is representing Port of Gdynia, the installation port. Yes, so I think yeah, she will tell you a lot of this.
Okay, then I'll wait for that.
Okay, do you hear me correctly or
yes?
Not? Okay, great. So I can briefly say what's new in our project as a point of view of port. Okay, so I will. Can I start now or
no? But we should go first with we have a presentation of Mikko Aitunen, who I see over there.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, so maybe just... I will just make a short introduction to the Port of Gdynia, right? So I will not say a lot, but yeah. So thank you. Like, my name is Mikko Aitunen. I'm Deputy Director of Invest in Pomerania. We are a regional investment promotion agency, and I'll try to be as quick as possible, as I see that my presentation covers more or less all the topics that have already been mentioned, right? So it's just like will be like a summary of what's been said. And just a second. Right, I suppose that now you can already see the screen. Can you?
Yes, it's perfect.
Yes.
All right. So just like a couple of things about the offshore potential and of the Polish coast, and about our region, and then what we do for the offshore sector. So as it's been said, right, the current projects that are underway, they will bring up to 6 gigawatts of offshore wind energy to the region. By the year 2040, the potential of the total capacity of the Polish wind offshore is predicted to reach even 11 gigawatts. What's very important, the total capacity of the Baltic Sea is estimated even for over 90 gigawatts by 2050. Which gives like a really high potential for companies already active in the sector to locate their new projects in the area of the Baltic Sea. And yeah, and the ports, right? And of course, right, we as it's been said, right, we are trying to bring as much local content to the region as possible. And of course, the thing that needs to be there, right, if we want to have local content, is the infrastructure and the port infrastructure. So when it comes to installation terminal, so that will be Port of Gdynia that has already been granted financial support from Polish Reconstruction Fund. But I will not be saying more now, as I will just leave it to Ms. Godecka from Port of Gdynia, and she will give you more details in a second about the installation terminal and the plans for development. When it comes to service terminals, so there are 3 ports that have been pre-selected by developers. It's Łeba, it's Ustka, and it's Władysławowo. 2 of them has been granted support for development from this Polish Reconstruction Fund. It's Łeba and Ustka. But as a region, we are also advocating for including Port of Władysławowo in that, as also like developers say that Władysławowo is perfect for parts of the project to service from this port. Then it has been said, right, that we already have some expertise in doing offshore projects. As you know, we are a maritime region. Gdańsk and Gdynia are very strong in terms of shipbuilding, and our companies have already been doing some contracts for the offshore wind, especially in the Northern Sea. So first of all, right, our shipyards have been producing cable layers, heavy lift jackup vessels, like the shipyard Christ at some point of time had 60% of the global share of jackups, as they produced 3 of this kind of ships. And at that time, there were only 5 floating vessels of this kind globally. Ramotowa shipyard has also been producing platform supply vessels, mainly for oil and gas, but also offshore supply vessels for wind. Then a lot of different constructions, such as wind towers. Currently, like GSG towers have been producing mainly for onshore, but they have production capacity for providing also offshore wind towers. Different construction, as I'm saying, like transition pieces, topsides for transformers, foundations, not exactly in our region, but in Western Pomerania, parts of substations, nacelles, rotor sand blades, right? So a lot of parts for the offshore wind farms have already been produced in the region, and we hope there will be more, right? And that our companies, they will have a share in this local content. Then when it comes to engineering potential, currently there are over 1,000 people employed in ship design companies, which are also providing doing projects for the wind offshore. We have all the key classification societies already based in the regions, like for DNV, Lloyd's Register, and ABS. 2 research and design centers, one particularly doing projects for the offshore ship design and research center, and yeah, ship design companies, as I mentioned. Yeah. Then when it comes to academia, so also like we are a top education center in Northern Poland, over 24 higher education institutions, and what's most important, over 1,000 students at ocean engineering. What's very important for us, Gdańsk University of Technology already launched postgraduate wind offshore studies. So that will additionally boost this talent pool for the sector, and of course the competence center, which is underway, which Karolina already mentioned. And just like about us, we are like a classic investment promotion agency, providing all kind of support for new investors willing to come to Pomerania, and as well as, just like I said, that we are trying to build the local content. We hope that not only like our local company will have the contracts, but we also hope that, as you know, the contracting is already starting, right? We hope that there will be more international players that will have some contracts, and that they will be willing to locate their manufacturing operations in the region. So we have already we have high hopes connected to this aspect. So just like I'm saying, just classic support for investors, providing information about different areas of business, investment offers, and all kind of support that you might need. We've been operating for over 10 years, bringing to the region over 130 investment projects, and our investors declared to create over 18,000 new jobs. We are also attracting new talent to the region, which we see that is very important, not only new companies, but also people that will work in these companies. And we are also working for SMEs. And here, just like a hint for the offshore sector. So we have investment grants for the companies willing to develop in the region, for developing the infrastructure connected to manufacturing and logistics operation. And also we provide relocation grants for companies operating in IT, biotechnology, and also offshore industry. So if a company wants to bring a person from outside the region, we provide this 10,000 zlotys bonus for this new person in the region that will work in our priority sectors. And as for the offshore, right, so we have the Pomorska Wind Offshore Platform that has already been introduced by Carolina. And also, like, what's worth mentioning is that offshore has been our smart specialization, which means that it's that we have easy access for EU money for companies operating in the offshore industry. Yeah, and that's basically it, like in a nutshell. And last year we also prepared a bigger offshore report with more information about the companies that are operating in the sector. So it will be sent to you just after the meeting. And if you have any more questions, so I'll be very happy to answer. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mikołaj. I'm sorry about the way my Polish pronunciation. You replied, in fact, the question I had before about the ports. So thanks also for that. Maybe we will move forward to Alexandra now and finish these three presentations about the region. It's good information. It's also good that the companies attending also have your contacts for next steps. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Now the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. So now I will share my screen with you. Okay, one moment. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Great, okay. Okay, so at the beginning, hi everyone. Sorry once again for being late due to another very important meeting. I had to be in one time in two places, so it's hard to achieve it, okay, wherever. So my name is Aleksandra Godecka. I'm working in the Port of Gdynia Authority. My main responsibility in company is design process of installation terminal for offshore wind farms in the Port of Gdynia. So my presentation will be very, very compact and brief. If you will have any questions, just interrupt me and I will regularly try to answer you, okay? Okay, so let's start. So at the beginning, in the port, we actually considering two options of preparing facilities for offshore wind farms. First option is building the installation terminal on the outer port pier in Gdynia. I'd like to say that this project was sent and written into a national recovery plan that was sent to European Commission by our government on May, and currently we we are waiting for the results. We hope that the result will be maybe next month or something like that. Yes, so generally the project looks like this, this is the concept, yeah. This will be a new pier with storage area about 33.6 hectares, something like that. We think that the terminal we will be able we will have two places for jackups with this option. Also, we plan to build a new roller ramp dedicated for offshore components. What else I can send to you? Generally speaking, about the technical parameters, after many meetings with developers, producers, and etc., we think that the project fulfills all of the requirements of developers. Okay, what else I can send you? I can say you 1 moment. Okay, here we have the concept. Okay, so as you can see, maybe it will be possible to for two operators this place will be able to operate for two operators offshore. About the schedule, if everything goes well and we plan to have this terminal in 2025, I'm thinking about third or fourth quarter, something like that. But I must say that it all depends on the results from National Recovery Plan, because we have prepared schedule on February 2022. So as you can see, we will have to actualize our schedules after the results, and this is how it looks like. What else I can send to you? Okay, more technical information about breakwaters. So don't worry, the breakwaters we plan to build in parallel with the pier, so it is possible. Okay, the second option of installation port for offshore wind farms in the port of Gdynia is that we also consider, in the meantime, the western part of the port. Yeah. Currently, we are preparing the navigation analysis and also the bottom expertise for this option, and we will see what will happen. Okay, to sum up, as I already said, investors and developers assessed this project very well, and we keep our fingers crossed for this project. As I already said, all necessary infrastructure elements are included in this project. So also, second good point of this project is that, as my colleague said, in Port of Gdynia we have many shipyards and other well-developed shipbuilding industry. So this is also a good point of location. Also, I must say that this project has very optimal hydrotechnical and navigation conditions. Especially, I'm thinking about the channel clearance, the navigation option, and etc. So this was the main points of the project. So it was really short presentation, but if you have any questions about the technical matters of about the project, etc., just ask me, and I will try to answer you. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. One quick question. Do you have companies already signing agreements or planning to install, or what is the state of the use of the suspected installations? Or maybe it's too soon, I don't know.
We are in the process of proceeding some agreements with some companies. It's a kind of reservation agreement, yeah, because the pier is not built, and now we are analyzing, and we meet with many companies from many offshore companies, and we are with some of them we are preparing a kind of reservation agreement, but we must know that it all depends on the results from National Recovery Plan, because it's connected with financial matters. So we hope that we gain those funds from National Recovery Plans, and if the results will be very positive, we'd like to choose the company which will be responsible for build this project in design and build process in order to build this terminal as fast as we can. Yeah.
Okay.
So before this tender, we will public the tender, and I must say also that many technical matters and concept and other analyses we have made. So if we will have a decision, which is very crucial and important point, we will do our best to publish this tender as fast as it would be possible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have now two additional questions. Maybe for you, Alexandra, or maybe for Carolina or Mikołaj. Please step in if whoever you want. The first one is from Jorge Sanchez. Good morning. Are there any other planned facilities to storage energy coming from offshore wind energy? He's talking, for example, about pumped storage hydropower stations, hydrogen. Are there any plans in this regard?
In my point of view as a port authority, now currently we are only focusing on installation terminal. Hydrogen is next step. I think that it's too early to focus on this, and maybe some of my colleagues will say more, but I'm saying only on the point of view of the port. Yeah.
I'm seeing that Piotr Czopek is raising his hand. So Piotr, if you want to step in also, please do.
Yes, Marcus, maybe I will answer that question. I think that we won't be building any other pump and storage facilities. There is one project that discussions are ongoing for many years, but I'm not sure whether it will be possible to build it. Nevertheless, hydrogen has huge potential, and I think that will be a key element, generally speaking, for further development of renewables in Poland. And I know that government is currently under preparation of hydrogen strategy. So there we will be able to find a solution just to incorporate the technology into our system. And I think that by 2030, there is foreseen to have 2 gigawatts of electrolyzers. So I think that's quite an important number. And generally speaking, Poland today is one of the biggest hydrogen producer in the world. Although it's not a green hydrogen, but I think that, and this is also one of our aim to create a market for green hydrogen. And we as a PVA believe that green hydrogen is a key element for further incorporation of renewables into our grid. Okay.
Thank you. I have another question. Maybe this is more related to ports. It says, as the importance of local content has been mentioned several times during the presentations, Alexandra, in this case, I think, where do you see the involvement of foreign companies in the port sector? Where are you looking for cooperation from international companies?
Well, maybe I would just say a couple of words, right?
Sure. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Because generally, I think that you know, the projects are, let's say, ongoing, right? The developers will start their contracting processes, and you know, they will choose their best offers, right? We don't know if it will be our local companies or it will be international companies. So there's like a whole spectrum of cooperation possibilities, right? And I see, at least, because our local companies will not cover the whole supply chain. Definitely, they will rather be subcontractors for some key elements. But I personally see that there is a lot of space for foreign companies that will also be like the part of this of the whole process, right? And our local the developers, I mean, yeah, they already, like last year, they started supply chain days, so that they can identify their potential contractors, and definitely this process will intensify in the next month, right? So I personally see that there is a lot of space for foreign companies to be a part of this Polish offshore.
I can also add something about the cooperation with other companies. So, as a point of view of our Port of Gdynia, from 2018, we are preparing for this project, and we meet regularly with many companies. I'm thinking about developers, producers, and logistics company, and that, as a result, we have prepared some concepts for installation terminal, and this is how it looks like from our point of view. This cooperation, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Alexandra. Thanks, Mikołaj. Thanks, Piotr. We will move forward now to the Basque part of the webinar. In this case, it will be myself. I will be doing the presentation of an overview of the wind energy sector in the Basque Country. So, okay. So, of course, this is more oriented to the Polish participants on the webinar. The idea is to give you an overview of who we are in the Basque Country in terms of wind energy. First of all, so that you locate a bit more the Basque Country, it is located here in the north of Spain, near France, and it is a region that characterizes by a high level of technological intensity. It's the first or second region, depending on the year, in Spain in terms of R&D intensity, and also is one of the largest industrial clusters, not only in Spain, but also in Europe. There is a lot of industrial focus in the Basque Country. It's a region with around 2,000 million inhabitants, so not that large, but with a large concentration of industry in the general sense, and in particular, there is a long tradition in the wind energy sector. So it's probably one of the regions in the world with the highest concentration, in the sense that it's a small region with over 100 companies working in this field, and well, very relevant numbers, not only of terms of employment in the Basque Country, which is around 4,000 people right now, but global turnover together of over 15,000 million euros, which of course comes from also the fact of that companies like Siemens Gamesa and Iberdrola are headquartered here in the Basque Country. Here is a picture of the value chain. As you can see, we have companies working in all the different parts of the value chain, from promotion and development of the project to manufacturing to services, and of course R&D. Probably there is a strong focus in the Basque country in terms of manufacturing. You can see there from, of course, the wind turbine manufacturer there to a lot of engineering companies working in the different phases of wind farm development. But again, manufacturers of parts of the rotor, of the tower, of the nacelle, of the electrical components. Also, in terms of the offshore foundations and floating platforms, I will talk a bit more about that later. And not only that, not only in the part of manufacturing, but also in the part of services, both in installation, operation and maintenance, lifting and safety equipment, and then again, university technology centers and infrastructure. So as you can see, if at some point you are interested in connecting with an organization in the Basque Country, it's quite probable that though it's a small region, we have a company working in that area we can put you in contact with to be a partner or a collaborator, or supplier, or a customer. The fact that we have this strong value chain is, of course, partly due to the fact that the Basque Country is, as I mentioned before, headquarters of Iberdrola Siemens Gamesa. Iberdrola, before Bartomeu has already introduced, and in fact, these numbers, as you can see, which was the state of the offshore wind pipeline of Iberdrola a couple of years ago, it's a bit outdated, and you can see how huge change this is undergoing in the company. And of course, again, we have the headquarters of Siemens Gamesa here in the Basque Country. Probably it's more focused, as it was the merger of Siemens Wind and Gamesa. Gamesa was more the onshore side. Siemens Wind was the offshore side, which is more located in Germany and Denmark. But it's still a lot of presence here in the Basque Country and the neighbor region of Navarra of a lot of the engineering side of Siemens Gamesa is located here. I mentioned manufacturing before, and here I won't go in depth, but you can see again a picture identifying some companies working in almost all of the key components of the wind turbine, but the blades might be manufactured here in the Basque Country: generator, gearbox, pit system, bearings, hub, and then of course towers, brakes, mainframe, everything maybe manufactured in this case here. We have, I mentioned it before, a strong involvement in terms of technological and R&D projects, but the next presentation is going to be more in depth about that. So I won't talk about much about this. Maybe a quick emphasis in the fact that we are also very involved in R&D in digitalization. It's a key topic for us right now, and we are working in several projects, both at regional and European level, working on the different sides of how digitalization might improve or reduce the cost of energy from the wind energy, from of course sensing and remote monitoring of the turbine, from the use of drones, both onshore and offshore, from the virtualization of some large test benches that are needed right now for the development of the new models of the wind turbine. So we are working in many different fields in this sense. Again, José Luis Villata from Tecnalia will introduce a bit more in depth in the next presentation. Another topic that is very relevant nowadays for us, as you may know, the offshore wind market is not developed in Spain. We don't have the continental shelf that you can have in the Baltic Sea or that has been developed in the North Sea. So the depth of our sea is quite deep. So we need the floating wind alternative. It's not bottom fixed. In Spain, it's going to be almost all of it floating wind offshore wind farms. And once again, we are lucky in the sense that we have in the Basque Country many companies working in the development of this alternative, from, of course, Iberdrola, which is also already involved in some floating wind projects, to a test site, which is kind of unique in the fact that you can test the floating platforms in open sea right now. And then we have also very relevant for developers of floating foundations in different stages of development. For example, here, this one, Sitec, is currently developing what is going to be the first close to real scale prototype of a floating platform in Spain. It's being built right now in the port of Bilbao and will be tested here in BIMEP in the summer of next year. Not only, well, just to give you a quick data, this, I think it's Wind Europe that has mentioned that there are around 30 technologies of floating platforms being developed at a certain state of development in the world. And out of those 37 are located in Spain, and 4 of them, in fact, are connected to the Basque Country. So as you can see, 4 out of 30 in the world is a huge number. And then, of course, we have a lot of the companies in the value chains, both in manufacturing and services, seeing how they can adapt their products or their services to this new alternative. And I'm going to finish with these last 2 slides. We were quite happy to welcome the Wind Europe event in 2019, which we think it was a huge success in terms of participants, exhibitors, conference, the attendance of relevant speakers. So that was a success, and part of the fact that went very well. And at Wind Europe, they were quite happy with the development of the trade fair 2 years ago. We have been quite recently, because this was announced a couple of weeks ago. We will be hosting the 2022 Wind Europe annual event in Bilbao in the first week of April next year. Well, I have given you a quick overview of the sector, but please contact us, the Basque Energy Cluster, at any moment if you would like to, as I say, get in contact with any organization in the Basque Country. We will be very happy to help in that way also. And of course, we will be very happy to welcome you in 2022. And also, if with any of the speakers today would like to organize some type of event to connect Basque companies with Polish companies as part of the event, we will be happy to collaborate in making that happen. And that's all from my side. Of course, we will share the presentations with you after the meeting. I'm seeing in the chat that they are asking me about it. And now I just give the screen to José Luis Villate, who will talk a bit more in depth precisely about technology and R&D in the Basque Country. José Luis, thank you very much for being with us today. And again, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Marcos. Good morning, everyone. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So good morning again. Thank you to all of the speakers for the interesting presentation, information that particularly I was not aware about Poland and the activities there. As Marco has said, I'm going to focus on research and development and technology activities in the Basque Country. Let's see. So let me start with an introduction of what my company and we belong to a alliance. The Basque Research Technology Alliance is the pet of the Basque government to promote research and technology development in the Basque Country. It has about 3,700 researchers with an investment on R&D about 300 million a year. So this is a new alliance to concentrate the effort up to all of the centers you have there, about 15 research centers in the Basque Country, with the support of the local and regional governments. One of these centers is Tecnalia, where I work with. Is the biggest of this. It's about 40% of the Basque Research Technology Alliance is Tecnalia. The rest are a bit smaller centers. And we are about 1,500 people from different countries, oriented to transform technology into value. Okay. We are the first private organization in Spain in project contracting under the European program, in particular Horizon 2020, and we hope to have this type of return in the new Horizon Europe program. Our scopes of action are advanced manufacturing, sustainable mobility, urban ecosystem, health, and what is more connected to the presentation today, energy transition. Everything connected to a new trend, which is the digital transformation. We mainly work in laboratory services. I mean, more about testing of components, for example, research projects and development with companies usually, and development of investment opportunities. And we mainly work with SMEs. Is part of our role to help SMEs to promote the technology. So I want to give you some context, not about wind energy in general, because I think all of us are more or less informed that wind energy is both onshore wind and offshore wind is increasing a lot in Poland, in Spain, in the whole Europe, in other countries, China, US, with a lot of technology challenges. I took this image from a very recent report produced by the European Technology and Innovation Platform, together with Europe, saying the main trends in the future for offshore wind. In our case, as a technology center, we are more interested about the future than the present, because we want to solve the future problems from the technology and research. So we can see 5 mega trends in wind energy. One is having bigger offshore wind farms in terms of the size of each wind turbine, but also the size of the wind farm. The second has been mentioned before, and Marcos said, the future of floating wind. Floating wind is having a lot of potential. Is still is not as developed as fixed offshore wind, but having a lot of promising or new opportunities. The third one is the coexistence with the onshore and environment society. There is more and more, we are seeing this in Spain, and I guess it will be similar in other countries, some concern about the use of the landscape, the use of the terrain to install wind turbines. So this is important. Also repowering in Spain, for example, there are a lot of onshore wind farms approaching the end of the life. So this is another trend, repowering onshore wind. And the last one, also connected to the environment, is to have a wind energy 100% circular, with components, material that can be reused or recycled. Another context for our as a research center is the strategy here in the Basque Country. Wind energy is one of the key strategies, together with all renewables, hydrogen, and other technologies. In the Basque energy strategy that is called Energy Basque, and focusing on wind energy, we can see 3 scopes of of technology areas: components and subsystem for wind turbines, operation and maintenance, and tower structure and offshore foundations. There are some specific lines for each scope, but also some cross-cutting activities, for example, digitalization, energy storage, power electronics, circular economy, and materials. They are cross-cutting activities that are also important for other sectors, renewable sector or hydrogen or other energy sector. And this is the map of the future technical areas and research lines for wind energy here in the Basque Country. So with this context, more international, more local, the centers under the umbrella of the Basque Research Technology Alliance we have defined, and this is quite a recent document that is not public actually, we have finished this as a chapter of a white paper for energy together within the Basque Research and Technology Alliance. And for wind energy, we have identified 5 topics and some subtopics in which we are already working, or we are going to make an effort to have more activities. One is technology for more competitive and sustainable wind turbines, both for on and offshore wind. You can see there some subtopics that are under research here in the Basque Country. I'm not going to detail. As Marco said, you will see the presentation and you can check. The second one is grid integration, storage, and power to X. Here we include the more and more emerging interest on hydrogen, but also the traditional grid connection and power electronics aspect. And the third one is operation and maintenance, with a specific focus on digitalization, digital techniques, digital twins, but also more about new means, robotics, autonomous vehicles for inspection, and of course, integrated data management, and Marcos mentioned before. And the fourth one is installation and logistics. In particular, this is for offshore wind farm. The 3 before were for both onshore and offshore. This one is particular for offshore wind. And it's important, we see that, as I said before, wind turbines are bigger and bigger. So logistics, installation become a bigger challenge. So this is another aspect that we want to make research. And the last one is very focused, but very important for us here in the Basque Country, that is the development of floating solutions. Marcos mentioned that there are 4 companies developing floating solutions in the Basque Country. So from the research point of view, we are aligned to this strategy, to this initiative, and we want to help this developer and others to develop floating solutions. I'm going to mention 3 key research infrastructures and then some projects. I don't plan to cover everything. I just highlighted some key infrastructures and projects just to give you a flavor of what we are doing here in the Basque Country. The first one is an open sea infrastructure, has been mentioned also by Marcos Biner. It's an open sea test center for floating offshore wind and wave energy, and is fully operative, and has already hosted a wave energy test, and is planned to have 1 offshore wind turbine, floating wind turbine next year. The second one is more focused on both, could be onshore and offshore wind turbine. It's more focused on components. It's a test infrastructure called Windbox. It's more for components. You can see hydraulic components, jaw, generator, and blades. Is to test not the whole turbine, but some components in real conditions or full scale. And the third one is an open sea offshore laboratory. Is located in Villeneuve since 2008. We are now building a new version of this laboratory with more capabilities, and is focused on testing materials and components in real offshore conditions. Now I'm going to talk about some projects. I'm going to start with a project that is already finished, but it's just an example of, let's say, that we are always doing basic research. This is together with the Basque Center for Applied Mathematics and 3 departments of the University of the Basque Country. It's about using mathematics for offshore wind in different aspects. For example, how to analyze the seabed, or better algorithms to learn for deep learning, or empirical modeling, or use of high level or finite element modeling. So it's a bit more pure research. This is funded by the Basque government, and it's not directly to be transferred to companies. It's to research, and then with some additional effort to be transferred to companies. For example, we have also other scope, another type of funding, that is European funding. We have this is also a project that has finished, focused on floating wind. In this project, 1 specific content, Nautilus floating solution is developing a submerged floating platform was analyzed in more detail with some testing in tanks, I mean small scale testing, and allowed to continue the development of this particular solution. Another project that is ongoing is more focused on testing complex device or component for wind energy, and the idea is to help the reduce cost in these components by doing more specific testing campaigns. The project I mentioned before, the first one was funded by the Basque government, the other two by European funding. I'm going to mention now two projects funded by the Basque government, but in this case is to transfer knowledge from research centers to companies. In this case, it's a private share to innovative and integral solution for foundation, tower, and auxiliary system for offshore wind, high-power offshore wind turbines. It's called Sea Power. It includes several topics, but again, the main objective of this type of project is to have Basque companies more competitive, doing research and applied research for having better components and services. A similar project, but in this case focused on substations, for deep waters, and also hydrogen generation, and it's a similar focus. In a group of companies, of Basque companies, collaborate with research centers to be more prepared for, to be more competitive for the future challenges, in this case about substation for offshore. Just to conclude my presentation, I'm going to summarize saying that there is a strong network of research and development centers with a multi-technology approach for wind energy. So we are not only focused on wind energy, but trying to cover several cross-cutting aspects from manufacturing, digitalization, testing, offshore technologies, for example. We have identified for this strong network of R&D center 5 key research development fields: more competitive and sustainable wind turbines, grid integration, storage and power to X, operation maintenance, installation and logistics, and one very focused floating offshore wind. And our aim is to acquire knowledge on these fields and early technology development throughout public funding projects, local, national, or regional, national in Spain or European, to be transferred to the industry. We don't fulfill our mission if we don't transfer our knowledge and IP to the industry. And this is all from my side. You have here my contact email, and I'm very happy to try to answer any question if you have.
Thanks a lot, José Luis. I have a couple of questions from my presentation, so I will start replying those and see if there are any additional ones while I'm replying. But thanks again for your presentation of the Basque Country R&D. Regarding the questions, the first one is from Thomas Simak. He asks, how would you evaluate introduction of Basque local SMEs into offshore value chain? Do you consider it successful? Any lessons learned? Well, first of all, I have to, because this is related to the second question also, I have to say that the wind energy sector in the Basque Country is very special in the sense that we developed the sector because of Pocamesa and Ibertola, and we developed the value chain, the supply chain, but there were no wind farms in the Basque Country. We have around 150 megawatts. So in terms of market, the Basque Country is not relevant wind energy market. Spain is, but not our region. I mentioned this because this is also the case of offshore. We don't have offshore market right now in the Basque Country. We have just announced a plan for a 50 megawatts floating small wind farm in the Basque Country this week or last week. So there is no offshore wind market in the Basque Country or in Spain in this case. Having said this, We have companies working in the offshore value chain, of course, in the onshore value chain also. And I will now answer the question. How do you evaluate introduction of Basque SMEs into the value chain? Do you consider it successful? Any lessons learned? I think it's successful. I think one of the things that we are, I have to say, is that we are lucky is that being such a concentration of companies in a small region allows us to connect easier. So these small companies are able to connect with other companies in the Basque Country. In fact, part because of our activities at the Basque Energy Cluster, but not only, but also because of that. So these connections is what for SMEs are key in the sense that they allow them to better understand the customers' interest, to start some small demonstration projects of the products and services, and to better understand the market in general. So maybe my lesson learned would be to have a network, a platform, and I remember that Carolina mentioned in the case of offshore, the Polish Wind Energy Association would be another one, depending also on the activities you focus on. But for me, I think it's the networking in the case of SMEs is especially critical. So I would suggest that if you are asking this because you are working in SME, I think that participating in these networks is key. And then, of course, we have also cases of companies, small companies that have been successful at European level in European projects. Now the new Horizon Europe has some new mechanisms that are thought specifically for SMEs that I think could be very helpful in terms of funding new initiatives or that is especially difficult in the beginning of a company. So that would be my reply. I hope I have given you an answer. I will move to the second questions from Carolina Lipinska, which what lessons can be learned from the beginning of creating local content? Was the emphasis placed on acquiring international projects as shown in the presentation, or was the company networking towards the value chain? What determined the success of offshore development in the Basque Country? I was making the introduction before to let you know that we never created local content, in the sense that that was not the case. We could say that if you focus on the Spanish market instead of the Basque Country, then there was a lot of local content, but it was a different moment of the history of the wind sector, because it was in the beginning, and we had at that moment Gamesa developing these wind turbines, but talking that maybe 20 years ago, so complete different reality in which they had to work together with companies that had not experience in the wind. There was no wind sector, so they had the experience, and that's how the value chain developed then in our case, but probably is not a case from which you can get any lessons because it's very different realities in that sense. We are seeing that, of course, the wind sector all over the world is developing quickly. Many countries are betting a lot in wind energy, in offshore wind energy, and are, of course, all of them seeing how to create this local content. What makes sense? No, maybe my one, just to give you some advice, and I don't mean to be an expert on this, but just to say something to your question. I think it's really very, very critical to see in which parts of the value chain you really can create local content. I've seen experiences in countries in which they try to focus on some components, on some parts of the value chains that are really difficult and that make everything more expensive for the country in the end, because maybe at some point you will have a factory of this or that, but if you are able to identify in which parts it's easier for Poland it makes more sense to have a local content from Polish companies, from joint ventures, or from investors from third countries. I think that's a first step that for me is very, very relevant. Okay, so yeah, I hope I have replied your question. In any case, please, talking of, in this case, to all the Polish participants today, we are quite open to answer your questions from the Basque Energy Cluster. To all the associations also, please contact us if you would like to collaborate in any way in the future, both as part of course, of Wind Europe Bilbao 2022. But besides that, we are quite open to having new opportunities of collaborating with Poland, and also for the Basque companies participating today. I think this has been, from my point of view, very interesting overview of the Polish market, of the Polish status right now. And it's interesting not only because of the presentation, because of the contacts. In that sense, I would also like to remind you that we are lucky having also an office of the Basque Trade and Investment in Poland. There I see Ivona again. And of course, she will be able to support you in any interest you have in going to Poland in any way. And we will share the contacts, but in any case, if at some point you don't have the email, just send me an email and I will put you in contact with Ivona, Ambassador and Investment, immediately. And besides that, we are only 5 minutes above time, so I think it's quite a success nowadays in terms of virtual events. I would like to thank again everybody for participating. Carolina, Ivona, Piotr, Jose Luis, Mikołaj, and Alexandra. And well, let's hope to see you next time face to face, wherever. So thanks again, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Stay in contact.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.